This is a special emergency broadcast because Google is right now nuking websites that are violating 4 of their rules. And to make it worse, there's a bunch of gurus who are running around spreading confusion and propaganda about this, what do we call it? About this Google apocalypse, I guess we'll call it there. Now, there is a ton of speculation that it's the end of days for AI-generated content, but is this true? Is Google penalizing AI content? And if they are, what the heck should you do about it? So stick around and I'll explain exactly what's going on. So there's been 2 guys that have been showing up in the public and showing their projects. They've been showing what they've been doing with ranking sites and content and articles in Google. And there's 2 guys in particular that I'm going to focus in on today. And I want to show you some of what they've been talking about because they have been impacted big time by this update. So they've got a bunch of SEO projects they build in public and they show what's working now to people that are interested in ranking their websites. And they were just completely nuked. So let me show you an example of this. So first up, I'm going to go over here. So this here is Julian Goldie, and he is one of the guys that has been building in public and showing kind of what's working now. And so here's what's happened to him. So you'll see there manual action listed there at the top of that. That is something we're going to focus on quite a bit. And Julian's not the only one. So there's another guy who builds in public quite a bit and shows what's working now for him. And this is Jackie Chow. And so here again is what has happened to him. And so hopefully that audio is coming through. But what's going on here is the same exact thing. He's getting what is called a manual action on his website. This is causing shockwaves throughout the SEO industry. Now, I want to give a shout out to both Jackie Chow and Julian Goldie because they are incredibly open and transparent about what's happening to them. So this goes along with how they kind of run their channels. So I would recommend check them out. In fact, I'll link in the description to both of the videos that I showed there. But shout out to both of them because they do it in public and they show exactly what's working. They show their strategies and tactics of what's working for them. Each of them have kind of different specialties and a different angle and look at SEO practices. But it's because that they're building in public and showing what they're doing. And that's exactly why they were targeted. So what happened to these guys and how do you keep it from happening to you? So one thing you need to know is guys like these are getting hit manually. So you saw on that example, in Julian's example, it showed manual action, which means that Google has come in and by hand taken an action against him. It is not the algorithm. It is not some automatic process or anything like that. This is something that is done with a manual human delivered penalty. But Google wants you to think this is algorithmic. Google wants you to think that this is a widespread automatic thing and that sites everywhere are getting automatically penalized for stuff. And it's just not true. Let me show you some examples of what I'm talking about here. So here's from Search Engine Land. This is an article that was just released. Google issues search ranking penalties through manual actions. Okay. And you'll notice here they're talking about the Google Search Console. Now we're going to talk about this quite a bit, and we're going to get into why you're going to want to be careful about using the Google Search Console. I'll explain a little more what it is and how it works in a moment. But that's a free tool that's provided by Google. You can sign up for under your Google account and get information about your rankings in the search engines. That's basically what it is. And if you go into Google Search Console, it'll show if you've had a manual action. And sometimes they will take you'll receive penalties and manual actions, and they won't show. It's funny. Sometimes they show, sometimes they don't, but it's in the Google Search Console. Now, some of you may not want to use Google Search Console, and I'll explain why in a minute. But you can see here, they're talking about why things are getting penalized and that they're happening from manual actions. And that's what it looks like in your Google Search Console when this happens, okay? And it goes into a little bit about how to fix it. So we'll link to this article as well in the description below. So now, what's happening here, Google is issuing manual actions on a select targeted group of SEO professionals. Why would they do that? Well, they're doing this. It's a propaganda war. They literally are trying to get into the mind, infect the psychology of SEOs and entrepreneurs out there everywhere. They want to trick you into thinking that this is a widespread thing and that you need to be careful and to watch out what you're doing. So I'm going to get into exactly why these guys were penalized, what's going on right now, because there's a massive Google update. It's called their core algorithm update. There's also a helpful content update, and then there's a spam update as well, all kind of happening here at the same time. And while this is going on, while this update is happening, Google is specifically targeting SEOs who build in public and that have a decent audience. So what they want to do is they want these people with a loud voice to go out and tell everybody in the community that, hey, you know, be careful. All these practices are going to get you in trouble. You can get banned and all of this stuff. But in actuality, that's not it at all. Google is manually searching, finding individual people and de-indexing their websites. So they're finding guys like Jackie Chow or Julian. They find their websites. They go look in their Google search. Google actually goes and does like a private investigation and spies on them, looks in their Google Search Console, finds all of their websites, and then pop out the search engines they go. They get a manual action. Then Julian, guys like Julian and guys like Jackie then spread the word. They talk about it. Then there's blog posts made about it. And then influencers get on the bandwagon and everybody starts going into a wild speculation and a rumor mill as to what's going on. That's what, and Google is doing this intentionally. So, which I understand. They want good quality content, right? And they're trying to put the fear of Google into the hearts and minds of SEOs and entrepreneurs out there so that people don't do bad stuff, right? They don't float up the Google algorithm with garbage. And I understand why they want that, but I want to make it clear to you so that you don't get swept up into the hype and make bad decisions, okay? So they want to make it look like the algorithm is automatically penalizing sites for all kinds of reasons. But in reality, it's someone behind the scenes in Google manually penalizing these websites. And Google is famous for doing stuff like this. And in fact, there are a lot of, the other thing that makes this worse, I guess I'll say, is there are a lot of, well, we'll use air quotes, gurus out there that love to jump on controversy like this, and they'll use it to spread rumor, make a bunch of hype, make a bunch of fear, and then they do this because they can generate clicks and they can sell they can sell solutions to imaginary problems that just don't exist, right? So they can jump on board the hype train, get the clicks, get the eyeballs, get the ad impressions, and then sell solutions to something that just purely isn't even a problem. It's just a lot of smoke and mirrors. And Google is happy to oblige them if it helps them spread the fear of, they want to spread the fear of Google into the hearts of SEOs everywhere so that you're scared to death to do the wrong thing and then get penalized by Google. And something actually similar to this happened to one of my websites going way, way back. So this is not a new tactic, right? So I was actually the victim of something like this many, many years ago. This is, I've been doing SEO for over 2 decades now. And so long, long time ago, I had a site that was swept up just like this, where one of Google's people came in and gave it a manual action intentionally to spread fear, I guess we'll say. Okay, so the truth is that Google really just wants you to not make junk, spammy, garbage content. And what's happening is artificial intelligence and AI is getting kind of swept up in this, because recently people have been using AI to create garbage, just spammy, low value content that clogs up the internet and makes Google's job harder. Okay, so there is some truth in that some people are abusing AI to put a bunch of junk out there, and Google's not happy about it. But that does not even close, does that mean that there's some kind of AI penalty or some difficulty where AI content can no longer rank in Google. That's just simply not true. Google has said so in their own words, and I'll show you in a minute how this is working. Okay, so now when they were hitting these sites, what they're doing is they want to scare the community, and they want to make anybody who even thinks about putting out a bunch of junk content scared to death, so they just won't do it. Again, getting into the hearts and minds of SEOs everywhere, so that they just put out good stuff, and they're afraid to use spam strategies. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I want to show you really quickly what Google themselves has to say about this massive update and what exactly they're looking for here. Okay, so let's take a quick look. I'm going to go back to my screen. And this is straight from Google themselves. Okay, new ways we're tackling spammy, low quality content in search. Okay, so there's new and improved spam policies, and they've improved their algorithms to help rank sites that are quality. Okay, so they're looking to reduce low quality, unoriginal results. And you'll see that nowhere in here is it saying that there is any penalty or any problem with using AI content. It's more about abuse, and this in particular, scaled content abuse. So there are a few people that are doing things like they'll take a domain name that has some authority, that has some clout with Google, and then they'll jam it full of 20, 30, 40, 50,000 articles, right? So, and if you think about that, that's not humanly possible, right? I don't think it's possible even with AI to overnight make 30, 40, 50,000 or more articles that are going to be high quality. If you're using AI to generate 50,000 articles in a couple of weeks, it's going to be junk. I'm sorry, but that's just the case. I can't, at least in today's technology, I don't see how you make content at scale like that and make it quality. And that's one of the things they're cracking down on. So if you're not spinning up a website and flooding it with tens of thousands, or in some cases, I've seen people do hundreds of thousands of articles in a short period of time, you're not going to be impacted by this particular thing that they're talking about, okay? And here they're talking about site reputation abuse. This is also known as parasite SEO. And this is where people take, again, sites that have reputation, they have authority, and they post content to them purely to rank in the search engines. And generally the content that they're using is low quality and is not helping Google put out good, useful content, okay? And this kind of goes along with this, expired domain abuse. There's a pretty interesting tactic where you can buy an old website, a site that has expired their domain name, they didn't pay the registration, and you can find domains that have backlinks, they have authority, and that Google likes, and their domain name expired. Well, what happens is people then take that expired domain name and they'll jam it full of content, which goes along with this up here, scaled content abuse. So they'll find an old domain name that is recently expired, that's got trust and rankings in Google, and then they'll jam it full of tens of thousands of pages of content. And that is also not allowed. So that's really it. And then here's another one. This is I'll link to all these articles in the description of this video. And this is a note here from Google Search Central about what web creators should know about the core update and new spam policies, okay? And it goes into detail about their core update. Again, nowhere in here does it say you cannot use AI content. Nowhere in here does it say they're penalizing or low ranking AI content. That's just not what this is about. So instead, here they talk about their spam policies. Again, expired domain abuse. So don't go register old domains and then flood it full of a bunch of junk content. Scaled content abuse. Don't flood any website with tens of thousands of pages of garbage content. Site reputation abuse. Again, don't go to a site that has a reputation that Google likes and then flood it full of content that's just garbage. So that's it. That's the simplicity of what Google's going after here. They are not going after AI content in any way, shape, or form. What they are going after are people that flood the internet with a bunch of junk. That's what they're penalizing right now. And what they've done is they've used this update combined with going out and nuking guys like Jackie Chow and Julian Goldie to get a public fear going and have people become afraid of what might happen if they offend the big G, right? So let me show you. There are 4 rules that you follow. If you do this and you're using AI content, so I'm a big fan of using AI content to put out good value into the world, put out good, useful, helpful content on the web with AI. And there are 4 rules that if you follow, I'll go over them now, you will make sure that you do not get nuked by Google and you will not be penalized, okay? Rule number 1 is simple. That's provide value. If all you're doing is putting out garbage because you're hoping it's going to rank in the search engine and then maybe you'll get a few ad clicks or something, that's just not going to work, not in the long term anyway. Sure, maybe you'll get some short-term results, but eventually this core algorithm update and their spam policies are going to get you. It's just a matter of how long until that happens if you're not operating on this prime rule to provide value in what you're putting out there. So when you publish an article or you're putting a blog post out, it needs to have some value. And that value doesn't mean it's got to be like a Pulitzer Prize winning, like filled to the brim with information. It's got to educate, enlighten, entertain, and have some use so that when someone sees that in the search engines, they click on it and they go read that page, they're fulfilling their desire from that search. The desire that they had when they clicked on your listing, they get to your page and that desire is fulfilled when they get there. That's the value that you're providing, okay? Rule number 2, that is to write helpful content. This goes to the search intent I just mentioned. So when someone searches and your content comes up, what's the intent that they're wanting to fill? Like what is the missing piece of information or extra value that they're looking for when they made that search? And so you make your article helpful towards that search intent. So if they wanted to learn, what are the top 3 ways to tie your shoes, then you should very clearly put the top 3 ways to tie your shoes and any related information that fulfills that query. And that you use useful, accurate, helpful information when you fill that value, okay? Rule number 3, that is do not flood Google with inhuman levels of AI content. Now, let's face it, AI tools for making content are awesome. I have one of them. I sell a product that does it. It's called PushButton AI. And this has opened the door to people being able to make an insane volume of content. You can, in one afternoon, write tens of thousands of articles if you wanted to, and then you could push them to your website. And up until now, you could rank them, which was kind of crazy if you think about it. Imagine that you could push 10, 20, 50,000 articles to your website over the course of just a single month, and then it would rank. And there were people that were getting hundreds of thousands or millions of clicks by doing that. And that's just, at this point, it probably would even still work, but then your days are numbered. Eventually, that website is going to get slapped. And then what's going to happen is if that site gets slapped, Google's going to look and they're going to see what other websites are you associated with. And that comes to our rule number 4, that is to be careful about what data you give Google. So you saw in Jackie and Julian's examples, what Google did is they went into their Google search consoles and they found all of the websites that they had connected under their Google accounts, and every single one of the sites that were connected and associated with the public case studies that they had done, boom, nuked them all. As Jackie says, they got clapped, right? He got clapped by Google. And they literally just went in and did an investigation and manually found all of his sites and then took them all out of the index and de-indexed them all. Now, the only reason they were able to do this is because Jackie had a whole bunch of sites connected to one Google account. So he had one Google account that he would log into, and then he had a Google Search Console associated with that to all of the different sites that he had. So first up, if you don't have multiple different websites, this doesn't really apply to you. You just have one site, then you're good. But let's say you have a dozen sites and you're very active in different niche markets. You have a lot of things going on. I would recommend you think twice about putting all of that stuff in one single Google account. And there's a lot of reasons not to have one point of failure. You know, if that Google account goes down because of, I don't know, let's say somebody hacks it and logs into the Gmail account and then pop, you're off, you're out. So I recommend having multiple Google accounts and taking steps to keep them separated, like a firewall, basically, between your different businesses. And don't interrelate them and don't interconnect them by putting them all into a single Google account and by logging in and out of that same account into different Google Search Console. This is the same with Google Analytics, is another free tool that Google will have out there. So just be smart about what data you're giving Google, and that will help eliminate. So if one site does get a penalty, it's not going to spread like a virus to all of the other things in that account, okay? So if you follow those 4 rules, you're going to be just fine. And this is not some sort of AI apocalypse, okay? So to reiterate, your AI content is safe if it provides value, it's considered actual helpful content, it solves the search intent when someone searches, finds it, and reads that article, you're actually providing help. And then according to Google's own documentation, just don't go out there and produce like 30,000 posts in a month, like produce human levels of content, and you'll be fine. So if you're posting, dozens of articles over the course of a month, or even 100 articles over the course of a month, like that's something that if you had a dedicated writer, that someone could do. You could, I think probably depending upon, again, how old your domain name is and other factors, I would say posting anything from daily to, maybe up to 5 times a day in certain circumstances. But if you have a brand new website, just post daily. That's, I do many of my sites that I start, I would go in and I would do a blog post a day. Like that was just the regular old process of what I would do. I think as long as you grow at a reasonable pace, say between 1 and 5 a day, you're going to be just fine. And if you have a high authority site, you can probably get away with more, but just don't do tens of thousands of them in a short period of time. Okay. So if you do follow those rules and you're careful about what data you give to Google, then you will be just fine. And by the way, if you want to start a new business and you would like AI to help you build your entire business from scratch, then I want to plug PushButton.ai. So PushButton AI is my product. It actually is an AI business builder. It will build an entire business, sales pages, email marketing. It'll build courses, free reports that you can give away. It'll help you build your email list. It'll help you get leads. You can even sell courses that the AI builds for you. And it also does AI content that is not going to get you smacked with one of these penalties. So if you're interested in that, I encourage you to go check out a free demo. When you come and do a demo with my team, you will go and schedule an appointment in the calendar. You'll have a time to meet with them on Zoom. And not only will they demo how this powerful tool can help you build an entire business, they'll also give you a complete marketing plan created just for you, just as a gift for doing the session with them. And to claim your free demo, just head on over to pushbutton.ai/demo. That's it, pushbutton.ai/demo. And with that, we're going to head out of here. That is the end of the important search engine AI update. Hope you got some value from that, and we shall see you next time. Bye for now.